Welcome back to the actuality. I'm your host, Josh Wallace with Angel Citadel, and this is The Soul's Direction. It's a live play of Invisible Sun by Monte Games. We've got most of our cast here today. We're missing out on one, Chris Harris, but we'll hope he comes back next week. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with a few short introductions, and then we'll talk a little bit about what happened last session, and then we'll move right into the action. So we've started with Kelton, we started with Jeff last time. Let's start with Joanne today.
Hi, I'm Joanne Wallace. I'll be. You can find me everywhere as Corsana. I am playing Claire Thespian, who is a bizarre goetic who listens to whispers.
Kelton?
Hey everybody, I'm Kelton. I'm online sometimes as Fesnerax, and I am playing Billy Burrows. He is an established empath of the Order of Weavers who plumbs the deeps of sleep. And I am super excited to get into this today.
And Jeff.
Hi everybody, my name is Jeff. I am Jeffrey Boring on Discord. And I am playing Albion J. Finch, an established Waveheart apostate who walks with a secret companion.
All right, so let's talk about what happened last session real quick. Catch everybody up. Who wants to take that?
I can do it.
Go for it, Jeff.
I can.
Let's see. After last session, I wrote down some notes. It looks like we went to speak to the Order of Honed Thought in Satyrine. And we met Kreiter Minus, who may be the leader of the Order, or perhaps is just someone who is very high up in the Order. She was a very tall woman with flaming hair. We told her about Kudash and his family fleeing from the Thaw, and she became very, very invested in her story, and in fact told us that we were to remain here at the headquarters while she checked on her sister, who we later learned is Kudash's wife. While we were waiting, Billy and Sterling went to Silver to get the crystalline fragment of Sterling's soul from the Garden of Crystal Souls, I believe it's called.
The Garden of Crystal Souls, yep.
When they were returning, Sterling faded into shadow, and only Billy came back through the portal that Albion had opened, and we all searched the headquarters library, and looks like I found a spell that I can learn. And when Kreider Minus returned, she took us to meet with a mysterious older man called Gabriel, who Billy recognized as the man he summoned in his dream. And he explained a lot. He explained that he was one of the Arabast, and that he is, I guess, seeking recruits for the Viridian Knights, and his connections with the Order of Honed Thought have provided him a good pool for recruitment. what else? Oh, and we learned that the mysterious figures appearing in both
Yeah.
Claire's and Billy's dreams, the one with green eyes,
Was
is
Quiss.
none other than Quiss, and the one with purple eyes is someone who was once an Arabast and who became the Angular Serpentine.
Mhm.
That's right.
That was
Mhm.
a huge drop. So, did I miss anything?
Only that Gabriel, the individual that's the Veridic Knight, is deceased. You're speaking with a ghost. So,
Okay.
Mhm.
And it's Gabriel, not Gabriel.
yep.
Okay.
So you are still speaking with Gabriel because we left off there.
Oh, don't forget, Gabriel had a thing for Orisard.
Yes, he looked upon Orisard, the architect, as a father.
Yeah. Yeah. He cried in the presence of the book, The Stories of the Arabast. It was kind of intense. And Billy found the secret that he's been looking for forever.
Billy did find the secret. Step without moving. So that's where you are. You are speaking with Gabriel. You are in an upstairs private library at the headquarters of the Orders of Hone Thought. And you've had some time to digest what's happened. How do you want to continue this conversation, or are you done? Oh, and he presented you with a small box of mage coins.
That part's actually kind of important.
Yep. Leave it to me to forget the reason we came
I
to
didn't
them in
write
the
it down
first place. We had come to the Order of Own Thought, hoping that they could assist us with maybe giving us work or something to earn mage coin so that we could fund more broadcast centers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's great. We have some mage coin.
Did we talk to him about finding the compass?
You did not.
Yeah, we should obviously do that because we discussed, the Order of Hone Thought might know something about that, and that's kind of our next step. Oh my gosh. It is the what compass? That's a different part of my notes.
It is the multiphasic compass.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll happily bring it up to him. After we've kind of been digesting everything, I return to the room where Gabriel's ghost seems to reside, and I will ask. Now, pardon me, sir. I was hoping that, in addition to the assistance with the mage coin, which we do genuinely appreciate everything that you have done for us so far, was hoping perhaps you could shed a little bit of light on an item that we have been told we should seek out. It is called a multiphasic compass. Are you familiar with such a thing?
I am indeed.
Do you happen to have it on you?
There's a twinkle in his eye, and he reaches up and he kind of sinks his hand into his really thick beard, You can see him rooting around in it. He pulls out, and it's empty. Nah, I thought I put one in there, but no,
Been coy.
I don't have a multiphasic compass on me. In fact, there's only one, and unfortunately, I don't know where it is at the moment.
Hmm. Do you know who might know where we could find such a thing? Or could you point me in the direction of some kind of uh, spell or ritual I could use that would help us find such a thing?
You guys actually know where the multiphasic
Yeah,
compass is.
I was gonna say.
Oh,
I've forgotten, but I know that we were told it was on like the Gold Sun maybe or
It's
something.
it's on the Gold Sun in the House of Secrets with an individual named Drusaz.
Right. House
Drusaz.
of Secrets is
Okay.
what I was missing. And then also there's a thing that's unclear in my notes that I would like to try and clarify, which
Of course.
like it seems like I don't recall the relation between the multiphasic compass and Geomantica, but my notes are trying to tell me that there is one. Like seek her out in order to learn more about it, or that might just be a fluke in the way that I wrote that.
You can seek her out to learn more about the multiphasic compass.
Okay.
She knows a little bit about it.
Okay.
But no, there's no, beyond that, you don't know anything about a
Okay.
connection.
Okay.
Brian, do you happen to know exactly what the purpose of the multiphasic compass is?
Why, yes. Yes, I do.
Terrific. I've asked the wrong question. Gabriel, what is the purpose of the multiphasic compass? If you wouldn't mind to divulge a little of your wisdom.
Of course. You, all of you, think in terms of what you can see, what you can imagine. If someone tells you directions to get from one place to another, you use streets or you use um, some other form of transport, and the directions that you take are the cardinal directions: north, south, east, west. But that is not all there is. There
Right, the
are,
compass has two other ones on it, right?
it does, Stam and Ren.
That's what they are called.
See,
And there are places that you can only get to if you know how to travel in the right direction.
I see. Okay. And so we need this to guide us. But to where?
Why, to her temple, of course.
Okay, so you're being especially vague now, but picking up on the cues, I'm going to assume her temple is perhaps the temple of Vizsla herself.
Indeed, it is.
Hmm. I've never heard of her having a temple. In fact, is she a goddess? We call
Oh,
ourselves the
no, no,
children
no.
of Vizsla, but
Vissla's so very much more than that.
okay.
She is the source of everything.
All right. Here I was thinking she was just maybe the first Vizsla. Hmm. Okay.
Interesting.
The Temple of Vizsla. Now, is Vizsla a person?
She is.
She's someone that we can speak with.
He pauses for a second, as if choosing his words carefully. See, no, not as you are. And he looks at you, and you see his eyes flit down to your pouch that you're carrying your soul fragment
Hmm.
in. But she can speak to you. In fact, if Kudash tells me correctly, or has told me correctly, she already has.
You mean by sharing this fragment?
No.
Well, how exactly has she spoken with us then?
I believe you each received some of her words, the words of Mother Visla. Make an intelligence check, or an intellect check, I should say.
Okay.
Nice.
8.
9.
Zero?
No, it was a 9 plus 1 bene.
Oh, okay, I got you. All right.
That's all I can spend at the moment.
All three of you remember very clearly a receiving the same note a long time ago, it seems,
Mhm.
Really long time ago.
that was signed by someone named M.
And what did the note say?
Crud.
Looking for it.
Give me just a second here.
We spent so much time going over what happened the last episode. When we're getting to the point in the campaign, we need to go to a deep dive.
Yep.
In
Yeah,
words.
I'm afraid pretty much all of my notes got lost in my move.
I have
From back then,
90%
anyway.
on mine.
It says, it was a lovely party, and Kudash is on his own path, but that's still not where you belong. To find your way to your soul's home, you must look in directions that have been forgotten. Seek the compass, it will teach you the way. M.
Oh. I mean, it's comforting to know that the source of all things in existence still writes letters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She's a bit old fashioned that way.
In fact, she's just like us. Uh,
Well, it only makes
well,
sense. I mean, we are her children after all.
well. So the soul's compass, or the multiphasic compass, wants us to find our way to the Temple of Vizsla. And I suppose if we're going to our soul's home, we should probably seek out the other parts of our soul.
He gets a smile on his face and says, "You see, you don't need me at all. You know what to do."
I wouldn't say we didn't need you at all, but
Certainly not. We definitely needed you.
very well. I vote that we go uh, provide this coinage to Malik
Mm.
so he can begin work on uh,
Mhm.
the other stations, and then we can move forward and seek out the other pieces of our souls.
Speaking of which, Gabriel, if you were, wandering the suns looking for pieces of your own soul, how would you go about locating those?
We're looking for the cheat codes, if you would.
Up, up, down, down, left, right, left, right.
He he smiles, and then he kind of reaches out, and you can't feel it, all right, but he puts his hand on your shoulder, Billy, and he says, "Shortcuts are an illusion. What you need to seek is truth. For instance, the one you found in the library today."
Are you suggesting that the secret I found in the library today was a part of my soul?
No.
Right,
What
but
I'm,
it
what
would help us travel to the suns.
exactly? What you discovered today was that the suns are not different places. It's the same place viewed through different lenses.
Hmm.
Otherwise, how would you be able to journey from one to another without moving? You're not actually going anywhere.
Right.
You're just seeing the truth through a different lens. Really, that's all Visla has ever wanted, is for her children to understand the truth.
Very well. Uh, do do we want to depart now, or should we give ourselves a moment to breathe? I feel that I could use a good night's sleep, but I'm unclear on how safe it is to return to my home.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I'm in the same boat on that one. I could definitely use some rest. I mean, not really. I did. I have wait. I still have. No, I refreshed my pool once, so wouldn't be a bad idea to get some rest. But where can we do that safely? I can probably weave something.
You do remember that you have a motor vehicle that can move around on its own, that's bigger on the inside, right?
Mm,
You're
yeah,
not
sometimes.
tied down to a particular place.
Mhm.
And it's not like the driver gets tired.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes the answer is simpler than you think.
Well, suppose we could uh, travel around Saturnine for a while and get a good rest in. Would that be all right with you, Claire? If we stayed at your place? Do you have accommodations?
Yes, I have accommodation.
How wonderful. Sleep over at Claire's.
Sounds like a plan to me.
We can stay up late and do each other's hair. Won't it be a hoot? Ah, very well. I suppose I'm ready to depart if the two of you are ready as well.
Yeah, I feel like we've
let's go home.
bothered poor Gabriel enough here.
Oh,
I'd like
my
to
dear
find.
Master Burrows, you are not a bother. None of you are. Not even your bizarre little fox friend.
He's not that bizarre. He just goes where he needs to go.
He's excitable. Are you letting him
Does
out often? I mean, does he go and run or something?
I'm not a pet owner, my friend. He goes anywhere he chooses. He just generally chooses to stick around, and I do apologize. He does have a habit of piddling, but
And
from what I'm
Gabriel
told, nobody else can smell it but me. So
Gabriel reaches out and he looks to be petting Rainy's head. And Rainy likes it.
okay, Rainy, you found a friend.
Make a perception check.
Let's see, do I have any skill in that? I do. Yes. It's a 7.
You see his eyes flash the faintest green as he does. And there's a smile on his face.
Hmm. Raynard, I feel like maybe there's something you haven't been telling me. But
Not the fox's eyes, Gabriel's
oh,
eyes.
Gabriel's eyes. I see. Okay. Uh, very well. Billy, do you think you'd be comfortable staying at Claire's house while
Absolutely.
we travel around? Okay, terrific. I could use a rest.
Mhm.
I have used pretty much all of my rests. I have one action rest left, so
All right.
I'm
I get smart.
throwing up doorways is tiring, apparently.
Don't worry, we'll
Yeah,
go to my place and you can have your very own room.
excellent.
Delightful.
Is there anything else I can help you gentlemen with?
You know, there's one question that occurs to me I haven't asked. Is there anything I can help you with?
That question kind of puts him back on his heels. Um, you see his eyes widen slightly, and he kind of folds his arms in front of him, and he thinks for a very long time. And finally, when he speaks, his voice is thick again. And he says, just don't forget that which we've done to help you. Many, so very many, have sacrificed to ensure you have the opportunity that you do now.
Yeah, that's becoming increasingly clear every day. We won't forget.
And tell our stories.
Working on that one right now.
Make your own and tell them too. Truth of any kind is useful in fighting the darkness.
We thank you for everything you've given us today.
Seriously.
I will be here should you need me again. Go with this as
Albie.
blessing.
I think Albie would bow low and then take his leave without saying anything else.
All right.
Billy would lock eyes with him and have like a very serious, very brief moment of just connection, and then be like, "We got to do coffee again sometime," and leave.
Whenever you wish, Master Burroughs.
Okay. We're good to go back to Claire's house.
As you're walking out of the room, he calls after you. Miss Thespian.
Yes.
He looks at you very piercingly and he says, don't let your grief overcome your reason.
I will do my best. She's going to look very confused. What is she grieving?
Her ghosts, her home.
Yeah, she's not talking about any of that. All that's in a little chest in a box at the bottom of her soul, hidden away because she's on vengeance and overpowering her spells to a frightening degree to kill Thaw. But do you know a better way to kill Thaw? Other than, overpowering a demon to smash them?
There are weapons that you could seek to assist you.
Can you point me in their direction? And she's got this little smile on her face. Like, yeah, we're fixing to fuck shit up.
He sighs, and the sigh is very, very heavy. And he says, "Seek out Savion Clay. As one of your order, he may be able to point you in the correct direction."
Thank you.
And he fades from view before you leave.
We're gonna kill some Thaw.
All right, so you head back to the bomber, and there's a beetle parked out in front of it, or to the side of it, I guess.
Oh, Jeff, you're muted if you're talking to us. I was like, I knew something was wrong. Took me a second.
Oh no. Muted. Well, I was asking, is there a way for me to retrieve whatever essential part of myself is in the plane, or is the whole plane represent that piece of my soul?
No, 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 absolutely not. In fact, it's you know that it's a very small part of the plane. It's the gimbal.
The gimbal.
And that's just 4 screws screwed into the instrument panel of the plane.
Okay, so I'm going to take that. I do not want to leave that in the tender care of any Thaw who might come looking for us. So I will retrieve that, and then I will head over to Claire's house.
Yeah, Claire will be standing guard as you're retrieving it.
She's gone all militant. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Ready to summon something big, nasty, and ugly.
Yeah. I think we got some decisions to make, and once we've done that, we got some pretty serious planning to do.
By
I would
all
agree
means.
with that assessment.
So yeah, after he's got his soul piece, Claire leads them to her bug, opens the door and leads them inside. Obviously, it's much bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, and shows them where they can sleep. And like she said, they each get their own little bedroom.
And I presume that you're telling Screech to fire it up?
Yep.
Okay. So the 3 of you hear the beetle rumble to life, and the sound that it makes is almost like a Harley Davidson if the engine were underwater. It's a rumbling, squishing kind of a sound. And the car begins to move.
So, what do you think? Nap first, conversation later, or the other way around?
Nap first,
Please.
conversation later.
I need to rest.
Let's do it.
How long would you care to rest for?
I need like a good night's sleep, probably.
Yeah, I feel like we're all due for one of those. So,
As a side note, Screech can operate this thing essentially indefinitely,
Except for, being fed.
except for, being fed. So if you wanted to take a couple of days, a week to really plan out or stop and get things or whatever, you could do that.
well, let's get a night's sleep and reassess. But this might be home for a minute if we're gonna be in Saturnine, at least.
Yeah, I figure I'll just draw out a map or a route on the map for Screech to follow and then go take a nap.
Are you staying in the Fade or are you going from district to district?
Screech will be going from district to district.
Okay. So realize that at least part of the time you'll be in the Ruined Expanse. And there's some nastiness out there. The Screech doesn't care. He's a demon. And the car doesn't care. But if you go outside of the car, you might. Something to consider.
Yes, but Screech is, while we're sleeping, Screech is simply going to keep the car moving. And then we'll discuss it when we wake up.
Okay.
Because I can get from the back seat into the front seat without going out of the car.
Yes, you can. As the owner of the home. So you have a car moving around Saturnine in the path that you presented to him, and you are able to get 8, 10, however long of a rest you want. Everyone take your refresh. Refresh all your pools and take all of your rests back.
I'd like to say that since we were at the bomber, Claire also helped herself to the kitchen food maker thing and put it in her house.
I'm totally down with that.
And obviously she'll give it back once they return to if they return to the bomber and the bomber's intact. But just in case they're going to bomb the bomber, we're having the food maker thing, the replicator.
Works for me.
Billy will ask just at least one question about what our plans are before we all say goodnight. Which is something like, look, while we're sleeping, I'm going to get us some help, but I kind of need an idea of what we think we might be doing tomorrow.
I think we're going to need to go back to the Silver Sun and arrange for the maker to make the pieces that we need, or at least send him money so we can start making the pieces, and then we'll arrange for them to be delivered various places. But if we need to go to the Gold Sun for the multiphasic compass, I think that needs to be our next step.
Well, so I think we, based on Gabriel's answer to Albie's question, it seems like it's a wise idea for us to gather the missing pieces of our souls before we do that.
I agree. I think perhaps this might pose a good opportunity for us to walk the path of suns.
So I guess I'm weighing how much danger we're in versus, so if I can find something that protects us, sure, that's easily enough done. But I might be able to find an entity that can help us search for them. That's more abstract, perhaps, but it's worth a try. That's what I'm weighing, I suppose. What do you guys think?
I mean, that sounds reasonable. Claire, you can summon something that can help us
I could summon lots of
search as
stuff.
well. Yes? Okay. That's wonderful. I can spend some time looking for information as well. Through my own means. We want to each.
Just as a clarifying question, this is all happening before you guys go to sleep?
Yeah, because I have to decide what I'm looking for before I go to sleep. This was my
That's fair.
final question upon, or before going to bed.
I'm just making sure so I know what order to do stuff in.
So I think I've made my decision on what I'm going to search for. Unless we want to talk any more about it.
What do you got?
So Billy is going to use that Forte ability, Visitor from the Deeps. That's how I found Gabriel in the first place. And he is not going to look like for a guardian or protector of some kind. Thought about that because the thaw is on our tail. Instead, it says you think about a need that you will have the next day. So he is looking for an entity from the deeps of sleep that can help us locate. That's a loaded word at this point in this game. Find is better. An entity that can help us find fragments of our souls. Or perhaps just fragments of souls in general. Because even if we conceive of everything being everywhere all at once, we still have to take some manner of action. Even if we're not thinking about it as traveling from place A to place B, we still have to do something. We have to make some kind of decision. So I have no idea what form this will take necessarily. I'm just thinking about the need that I have. And it is a 7th level ability, and the creature would be of level 4. And that's what I got.
So for those of you watching, this is one of those proud GM moments where the players are really digging into the idea that in Invisible Sun, you really don't have a whole lot of boundaries to what you can do or how you can use things. And so this is a really awesome move by Kelton, just saying. Okay, so we're going to do that. Let's see here. Jeff, are you doing anything else before you go to bed?
Yeah. I'm gonna summon Teacup and offer her a pack of glitter pens to take a note to ask Sabian Clay if he'd have a chance to meet with me at some point.
Crud, you're gonna make me remember where he is. Give me just a second here.
Can you summon
honestly-
something to help with my allergies? Because that would be rad.
I would if I could. I could help Billy with Billy's allergies.
Damn it. This game's not as meta as I thought it was.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna use my forte ability called Seeker. That allows me to send Rainy off to fetch a general mundane item that I could carry. And that item is going to be the most expensive bottle of wine that he can manage. It says probably worth no more than 50 crystal orbs, but I assume a 50 crystal orb bottle of wine is
It's not
pretty
box
nice.
wine. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a whole week of income. So I'm hoping that
Solid.
it's a good bottle of wine, and then I will. Yeah, when he returns, I will pop it open. I will pour myself a large glass, spend an hour drinking it, and then pass out, leaving the rest of the wine to spoil. But who cares? Because
Solid.
luxury.
Okay.
Got a little thief for me.
We'll deal with that real quick. So he
Mm.
leaves, and he's gone for about an hour and a half. And when he returns, he has a bottle in his hand that looks like it's been freshly bottled. And the label on the bottle says McCanley's Essence of the Green.
I think I know where we're going next.
Okay. I will crack it open and like I said, I'll just pour like the biggest I will pour the glass all the way to the top like I'm a suburban soccer mom. And then I will set the bottle down and I will promptly forget about it. But I will drink deeply of the essence of the green.
Okay. Question. Albion Finch. When you were in the shadow,
Mm.
you spent some time outdoors.
Mm.
What is one taste and one smell that evokes that time for Albion?
Mm. The smell of a campfire, certainly. Um, and no, the smell of like leaves fermenting, like that smell of like maple leaves in the fall after a rain. Uh, that and yeah, the taste of berries, some sort of like blackberry or yeah, I'd say blackberry. That
Okay.
sort of tart sweetness.
So as you lift the glass to your lips, the smell of fermenting maple leaves hits your nose, and you taste a very deep, very rich, robust blackberry wine taste. And it almost puts you back in shadow, right? Like um, you can close your eyes and see the scenes when you were a boy and you were out camping and you smelled those things.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, I savor it deeply, and I fondly remember Randy.
And who's Randy?
Oh, he's unimportant. He was just one of the one of the fellas that went camping with me.
Awesome.
We
You
never
savor
spoke
and
again about that night.
you went and spent the night with Randy out in the wild. And you said you're going to bed after that and you're leaving the
Oh
bottle
yeah.
open. Okay?
Hmm.
All right. Let's deal with Claire next.
How to get her out of there, you know? Just get rid of her. Let's deal with her. Ugh.
All right. So that message you sent, is that okay? You have you now have a half drunken bottle of the essence of the green in your possession from some place called McCanley's. So you tell me, in your experience in the shadow. So,
Not me. One of my house demons.
oh, he gets drunk,
Yes,
or she, or it.
it. My one of the house demons that manifests because of the thing that I did 3 sessions ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So during a one-on-one session, my character created a demon home, a diabolic reticulum in my house. So demons will randomly show up in my house.
All right. So are you going to that room?
I am not. I don't need to. They just show up. According to the text, after having created it, they just show up.
No, I get that. Are you going into that room at some point after that happens?
Yes, I will go to check on Albion to make sure he's undisturbed.
So,
After I summon Tika.
okay, so you summon Teacup and you send her off to find Savion Clay. Then you go to check on Albion
And
you,
Billy.
and Billy. You see Albion asleep. Albion has a. Did you finish the glass, or did you leave some?
Oh yeah, I finished the glass before I turned
He's got
in.
a stained wine glass, but no bottle. Um, and Billy is also sleeping, and we'll get to him in just a second. Um, you poke your head into your uh, demonic reticulum, and you see a. I can't believe you're making me do this. You see a slender figure. Most of the body is charred, and it's accented by red, mostly at the joint, almost like rock that are connected by magma or something like that. And it's curled up in the corner, and it's crying. Like, not just softly. It's blubbering, shaking, crying. And it's got a bottle of wine clutched in one hand.
Okay, I'm gonna go over and take the bottle and ask the creature where it got it and what's wrong.
Got it? Is the man next door? And it's alive. It's alive. Everything's alive. It's alive.
I think you need to go home, and then when I say home, I'm gonna cast banishment and send it back to Demonsville.
It disappears, but as it disappears, it goes, it's alive. Are you going to sleep?
Yeah, after Teacup gets back.
Okay. Teacup comes back, and she says, Mr. Clay says, he says, what is it? Pens. He says, um, that he'll meet with you next month. Yeah. That's 4 weeks, right? 4 weeks. And she holds out her hand and she starts counting one finger by one finger, right? 4 weeks. Four is next month on a Tuesday. Pens.
Thank you, Teacup. That will be all for now. I will ensure that I have more stuff for you to do later. And then I'll introduce you something even more wonderful that you can share with your friends called glitter.
It sounds pretty.
I'm going to pull out a tiny vial and shake it so it swirls in front of your eyes.
And you see her eyes do the anime thing, right? Where they get like as big as her head. And she's watching the glitter as you shake it.
I'm going to hand it to her and say, don't open it until you get home, okay? I'm going to hand her the tiny little vial.
And she bites her lower lip and reaches out and takes it and looks at it and then clutches it to her chest and turns and immediately runs into a wall.
Goodbye, Teacup.
Ow. Bye. And then she flies off. So
Then I'll go to bed.
you go to bed. As you sleep, you find yourself in what looks to be a castle. All of the stonework in this castle is impeccably cut, but it's all dark gray. The mortar between the stones is gray. Everything here is gray. There are fires and torches everywhere, casting that flickering uh, flame light that that makes the shadows on the walls dance and things like that. Um, and as you're looking around, you see walking towards you, and you're in a fairly large room, a small man in a white suit and a white cane, white hair, and a big smile as he walks slowly towards you. Well, well, well. If it isn't Claire Thesbian, you're looking fetching, my dear.
Thank you.
Of course. It's been a very long time. How have you been?
Still pissing people off.
So I've heard. How how goes your quest to disseminate that tome by the writer?
We've already started in one place. We'll be starting it in other places very, very soon.
Wonderful.
Claire is feeling very creeped out right now. So how can I help you?
Oh, my dear, you're already doing it. You are, shall we say, fighting my enemy for me.
But I'm not fighting anybody. I'm just pissing them off.
Oh, no. You have no idea what you're doing. The hornet's nest you've stirred up.
Does that mean you're going to give me a spoofy, shiny weapon and tell me that I'm the chosen one? Because that'd be kind of cool.
The chosen one? What a crock. You chose this.
Well, yes, but I'd still kind of like the spiffy, shiny weapon. Yeah, that'd be really a lot of help. Especially if I can make stabbing with it. And it like magically teaches me how to stab people. That'd be awesome.
I understand you're well on your way for finding something like that. An old friend of mine, actually.
Yes, but will he give me the knowledge on how to stab people? It's all well and good to have the weapon, but if I don't know how to use the weapon,
Perhaps, or perhaps he'll direct you to someone who can.
so I'm going to presume that this is not just merely a social call, and for you to congratulate me on the pissing off I've been doing. So tell me, why have you come to see me?
I came to warn you. She's chasing you, my dear. She's discovered that someone told about her little secret in the pail.
It was rude.
I hear the queen was livid. And he gets this evil looking grin on his face, like that would please him to no end.
She was a little perturbed, yes. But she was perturbed about my existence too, so potato, potato.
He raises his fingers and blows on them and then kind of dusts them off on his shirt. Well, I suppose I'm partly to blame for that, but only partly.
Well, it's good to know and acknowledge our faults, I suppose. So, if she's hunting me, do I get a spiffy weapon of stabbing for her?
I wish I had one. She follows in her master's footsteps, and she has made deals. Deals that protect her from art which I would be able to work.
So, whose art would I need to look at?
He looks at you and his face screws up in disgust, like, I cannot say the name.
Well, you could give me your name.
I? I am Aeroweth. Why don't you make a intellect check? And if you want to use hidden knowledge for this, this would be an excellent time to do so.
Yes, I will be using hidden knowledge. How much hidden knowledge can I use?
Just one.
Fine, I'm going to use one hidden knowledge and one intellect.
Go for it.
And I got a 7. So it gives me a total of 9.
You would, in your time working at the Goetic Library, know him better as the Duke of Demons. Yes, Aeroweth is not an uncommon name in Goetic tomes.
I'm sorry if the demon I banished back to your plane vomited everywhere. My bad.
It's fine. It should have known better for drinking the essence of the green. Death and destruction and life and growth don't often, well, go together very well. I would imagine his hangover will be rather extraordinary tomorrow.
Claire is going to stare at him for a long moment and realize that he actually just gave her the key to know where she needed to look for a weapon that would take care of the problem chasing her.
His face shows absolutely no change, no indication that he's done something or not done something.
So, do I get a picture of the person chasing me?
But you've seen him, my dear, in your dreams. The dream that you had about a female figure speaking with what looked to be a dark hole in the wall.
Her. Do you have any good news for me?
He throws his head back and he laughs. My dear, dear girl, do I look like I bring good news?
Yes.
He turns and he spins his cane with a flourish and he begins to walk away. And as he does, you can see him bouncing almost as if he's dancing. And before he leaves, he says, when you see her, say hello to your sister for me. And then he vanishes around a corner.
Oh, fuck.
And that's where we'll take our first break, or our break for today. We'll see you back here in about 15 minutes, 10 after 4:40, something like that. Thanks for hanging with us so far, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here in just a few. Welcome back. All right, so we've been driving around in a demon-powered car. We've had 2 people go to sleep, and 1 demon get incredibly drunk and blubbery. And so we go to our resident dreamer, Billy Burrows. Billy, remind me what you said you were looking for in the deeps of sleep.
So Billy went to sleep thinking that he needs an entity that can help Kelton with his allergies. Sorry, can help us find, not locate, the fragments of our souls that are still missing in some way. Because although we, as I said before, realize at this point that everything is everywhere all at once, it's also, we also need some sort of guidance or some sort of plan of action, and we really have nothing right now. So I'm looking for assistance with finding our souls.
All right. So you go to sleep, and I'm assuming this works like the other one, right?
It's the
Where
same ability.
you wake up and you find yourself staring across the room at a figure seated in a chair that also looks very, very familiar. The first thing that catches your eye is a really large nose.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Well, now, this is interesting.
Hi there.
After months, you've seek my help.
Well, you know, in theory, I sought the help I needed, so. So.
The mother, she works in mysterious ways.
Well, you aware of what we're looking for?
He smiles, and you hear in your head, I know what you need.
Wait, what if can I just opt to roll a new character? All right, yeah, whatever. Let's get on with it.
Come find me if you wish.
Yeah.
And he vanishes.
Guess I don't have to roll for depletion.
No, he leaves. And as he leaves, your door slams open, and Claire is there.
Hello.
Hi, Billy. We're fucked.
What? Why do you say that?
Well, you know how I told you about the portal in the pail that went to the dark?
Yeah, you did.
Well, you know how I told you about the goddess of the pail being very upset and going to close the portal because I told her about it?
Mm-hmm.
The person who opened the portal now knows that I'm the one that told her about it and
Oh, of course
is
she does.
hunting us.
Oh, that's exactly what we needed. That's just delightful.
Even better. She's apparently my sister.
You kidding me?
Well, he could have been shitting me, but I don't. I mean, maybe he is the Duke Lord of the Demons.
Yeah,
he came to
well,
visit me.
I mean, that tracks. It's not the first time.
I am not liking this. I'm not liking this at all. And then she's gonna pretty much paraphrase and tell him the entire conversation.
So yes, you know that she is the daughter of Arrow and that her sister is chasing her and made some sort of deal with the dark
Mm-hmm.
or some dark entity, and you get the sense that there's somebody that she's working for that also made a dark deal, and yeah, you don't know who that is, but they sound really, really powerful.
Mm-hmm. Delightful. Just delightful. Well, that's noteworthy. I have news also, which I'm on a fence about which one's worse. But if we if we want, like I found help if we want to find the rest of the pieces of our souls. But we have to go talk to the nose, if you know what I mean.
Again?
I know what you need.
Shit. She's gonna cross her arms and pout for a moment. This is getting really
fair.
complicated. I don't like it. And she's gonna stomp her foot, take a deep breath. Okay. I'm ready to adults again.
Yeah, I don't like any of this.
We need an adultier adult. Where's Sterling?
Uh. Okay, kids, we need to make a plan. So Claire and I need to inform Albion.
Yep.
So a knock knock.
All right. I'm going to, rather than make you roll, I'm going to let you decide whether or not that glass was enough to give you a hangover.
You're muted.
No, for sure, definitely not.
This is Albion we're talking about.
Albion only didn't finish the bottle because he was tired. Most
Understand?
evenings, Albion, a functioning alcoholic, drinks a bottle and a half to 2 bottles of wine while he pores over, books and learns everything he can. But this was just, a nice relaxing glass of wine before bed. Albion wakes up and he's like, "Oh, my goodness, I should go to bed sober more often. Uh, can I help the two of you? You're standing in the door watching me sleep. That's a bit peculiar." Um,
When did we open the door? Let's roll with it.
I assume Rainey opened it.
Oh, there you go. That's delightful. Actually, I love it.
Blame it on the fox, man.
Yeah.
Claire's gonna be like, okay, 2 things. Thing 1, please don't leave wine bottles lying around because my demons find them and get very, very drunk.
I don't believe. Oh, my bottle. It wasn't exactly lying around. It was sitting next to me on the night table, are you telling me that demons can just get into my room while I'm sleeping? That's
I'm working on ways to prevent that. It's
terrific.
a work in
Well,
progress. I can, however, in the future surround you with a circle that will keep them out. But the second thing, and she's going to tell him the entire story of the white haired dude visiting.
so you've had a handsome visitor in the evening. We've all been there. Uh,
That
what?
sounds even creepier than when he walked up to me.
I mean, he's a demon, and while I wish to cast no aspersions upon the race of demons, well, the race of demons of the red, uh, they're all a little bit creepy. I can't say they're entirely unpleasant company, but they're all a little bit creepy. You just have to lean into it. Uh, and you have a sister now. What do you remember your sister? Did you grow up with her? Did you pull her hair? Well, tell me about this sister you've got. And why is she hunting me?
She's hunting me. You're in my house.
Very well. I mean, that does track, but I do miss my own house. Uh, could you brought Kitchen with you? Yes. Could we get Kitchen to whip up a breakfast? I'm
Yes.
famished. Uh, and uh, do tell Billy, what was this? I believe Claire mentioned uh, going back to Mentor Square.
Yeah, yeah. You remember our delightful little friend with the nose?
Oh, yes, strikingly handsome.
Mm,
Well,
mm. I mean, he's a real
no,
charmer.
no, he was not. But
Um,
yes, I do recall him.
from
Uh,
what I gather, that's who we need to talk to if we want assistance uh,
oh,
locating
well,
soul fragments. I'm not happy about
very
it,
well.
but it's something to try.
You know, I feel that he's probably a bit misunderstood. What with his off-putting voice and unpleasant demeanor, he's probably just a, a soft little marshmallow on the inside. He has, in fact, led us to willingly or unwillingly to everything that we've needed him to take us to. So, you know, I can't.
Yeah, I can't deny it, much as I'd like to.
Yes, let's have a breakfast. Kitchen, dear, could you whip up just an enormous 5-course breakfast? I don't think we'll be coming back here before the end of the day, and I'd like to start on a full belly.
And the kitchen whips up a fantastic 5 course breakfast. Um, Mountains of food, and it all smells wonderful. Um, yeah,
All right. I'd just get a plate full of fried potatoes and scrambled eggs and bacon and Hollandaise sauce and just the trends high on. Have a light salad to finish it off, you know, for the fiber.
of
Uh,
course, for the fiber.
Hmm. Yeah.
and yeah, then I'm ready.
Yep. Yep. Billy eats far more than he should be able to, given his appearance, as usual. And yeah,
I
All
put
right,
on a fresh
so-
tweed suit.
We're going where?
mentors. I think. Are we
Mentors.
start? Well, we didn't really. Are we starting there? I mean, how? Like, how close do you think your sister is on Anteo? Is there something we need to do about that first?
Well, to kill her, I'm gonna need a weapon, so we should probably start with mentors to find a weapon.
Well, Mentis
I
is
mean,
to find
great
the
weapon
pieces of our
is
souls.
knowledge.
The audio cut out. I didn't do it.
Oh, I said the greatest weapon of all is knowledge. So perhaps Mentors is, in fact, the best place to go looking.
Works for
Also,
me.
can you tell me anything about this sister of yours, Claire?
Seriously though.
Yeah, I think we start with mentors.
I mean, that's not an answer to my question, but very well. You
And-
keep your secrets. I will.
can't- And I'm trying to think, but I don't remember ever actually having a sister.
Oh, well.
Huh.
Then that does change things a bit, doesn't it? Uh, Give me an hour, and I will meet you at Mentor. And I'm
Okay.
going to use that time to cast Reaching for Gnosis. It is a spell that gives me a short answer to one question. It is only level 4, so it's not a very high level spell. But if I spend an hour in meditation, I get the answer to a question.
Okay.
I would like to ask, how can we best stay ahead of Claire's sister?
Find your soul.
Hot
Okay,
dang.
well, you guys get an hour head start at Mentors, and then I will catch up with you.
Okay. So you arrive at Mentor Square. The entrance to Mentors is very much as you had as you remember it, and the library goes down into the earth, into the indigo, opening into a large open waiting area. Some tables, seats, people sitting down, reading books. There are docents along the walls. Are you going to look for the individual that you had contacted, or are you going to wait for Albion? What are you going to do?
Mm,
Claire
I mean, I think we should
immediately
get
start
started.
hunting.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna look for him.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I recall getting the impression that that area fairly deep down in the depths of Mentors, where things were a little untidy, was sort of his domain. Is that just?
Nope, that's correct.
Do we recall how to make our way like down there, or?
Sure, there's stairways.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we're just gonna get started and look for Buddy. He might have had a name. I don't know.
He did not.
Or he did not.
That's fine. I don't. Yeah, it's good. I don't need to know.
Actually, yeah, that's more the case. He did not tell you.
As we're walking, Claire is going to be scanning book titles.
Okay, it's a stairwell.
Yeah, but when we walk to the stairwell, she's going to be looking at the books.
All right, and you're looking for?
Anything that jumps out as important.
Make a perception roll.
How about an 8?
Okay. As you walk towards the stairwell, there is one book that sticks out to you and makes you pause. And the book is called What is the Dark?
Okay. I'm going to grab it and I'm gonna summon a small creature, level 1, that can duplicate it.
Okay. How are you making colloquy with this creature?
I'm gonna bribe it.
With?
I'm gonna say that I'm summoning a pin from the silver, because I can. And I am going to bribe it first with the ability to copy the book, and then the second bribe I'm going to offer is an inkwell filled with different colored inks.
Okay, roll it.
Eight. The dice love me.
Apparently.
An ink pen. Like the old-fashioned, old-timey dipping pens.
Okay. Into the air in front of you appears an ink pen. It is 2 feet in length, and it appears to be an actual feather. The tuft portion of the feather is not like wavy, soft, or anything like that. It is razor sharp. It looks almost like someone plucked a feather from one of the wings of one of those creatures that you saw in the Garden of Eternal Souls. And used that for a quill.
Creepy. I like it.
I'm assuming you offer it the book.
Yes, I'm going to ask it. I'm going to state, please, I would like for you to make a copy of this book, and in exchange for your aid, I will offer you this well of ink in exchange.
There's a very pregnant pause, and then the vial of ink disappears, and the book floats out of your hand.
Thank you. Your help is greatly appreciated.
It floats off with the book. A second book appears with it, and both of them set down on a table, opening up, and you see the quill start to scratch as it's writing.
Awesome. I'll grab that when we go leave.
You head down the stairwell and down some more. And then you go down further. And when you're done doing that, you go down some more. And it's a long time that you're going down. About 20 minutes go by. And you see someone coming up the stairs. They're in a brown robe, and the very first thing you notice is their nose.
Hey, buddy.
I wondered if you'd actually come. And he looks around, where are the others? You had four, did you not? Did
Yeah,
you
we did.
get rid of them too?
One of them's on their way. The other one's occupied elsewhere.
Pity. Do you wish to wait for the one that's coming?
Well, do you expect to be leaving this place?
No. What you need is here.
I think time is a bit of a concern right now, so I think we'll be all right. I can always reach out to him if I need to. Let's get started.
Very well. Follow me. And he turns and he heads back downstairs.
Okay.
An hour later, you show up at Mentor's, Albion.
Salon downstairs. And I head toward Claire and Billy.
Okay, you start down the stairs. They are an hour ahead of you. You are still climbing down the stairs. You've watched what must be 100 floors of this library go by. Eventually, he stops and walks into what's a very dim floor. You can see bookshelves that have half fallen and almost look like, instead of shelves anymore, they've grown together like trees almost. Right where the stairway lets off, about 15 feet back, two shelves that have collapsed against each other have sort of grown together in one structure, and it looks almost like an archway, although only about 4.5, maybe 5 feet tall. The books, some of them are still in the shelves. Some of them have fallen out of the shelves and have been stacked up kind of off to the side. And they all look really, really, really old. And he begins to walk towards the archway.
What's on the other side of it? Is it just, does it look the same, or is this a gateway to another world?
No, it looks like fallen bookshelves. It looks
Okay.
like stacks of books. It's almost like a building. You've never seen anything quite like it.
Well, unless he like disappears when he walks through it, I'm just gonna keep following.
The light goes even dimmer. It looks like there's light coming from further down the tunnel that he's leading you into, the tunnel of bookshelves and books. But it's so dim you have to squint to see.
I was thinking about making a source of light, but as we go, because this is going to be too, well, Albion's good at finding people, but I could do like something really easy to let's see. Billy's going to try very quickly to just weave together sight from freedom and dreams from sleep, like he's done before, to give Albie like a little daydream of where to go once he's down there, because it started to get pretty obscure. And because I used freedom, I shouldn't have to worry about it being kind of a farther distance. Do you want me to roll for that?
No, because okay, Albion,
It's like a
are
vision.
you going to accept the vision?
I've done this before.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Then no, you don't need to roll.
Cool.
You get the sense that you know where to go, that you're going to be going down lots and lots of stairs and then into something of a bookshelf book tunnel. And it looks somewhat creepy.
Love the fact.
You
Yeah,
actually see spider webs as well. Not in the tunnel, but as you walked in through the archway, around and over. He leads you on for, golly, 10, maybe 15 minutes through some twists and turns and branching choices and things like that. This complex looks like it goes on for a long, long time. And you start approaching a source of light. And in your way, there are 3 other individuals. They're all in brown robes. And one of them stands forward and says, "Sumner, What have you done? What is the meaning of this? Who are these people? And how dare you bring them into our home?
Billy, this is Claire. We're pretty cool. How are you?
The guy with you walks up, rears back, and punches this guy in the face. Lays him out cold.
Dinner and a show.
How dare you question me? And he looks at one of them. He says, "Who am I?" You are the Golden. Yes, I am the Golden. You shall not question my actions. And the two of them kind of scoop the guy up that he laid out and back off to the side. Come, we have business. And he walks right past them.
Nothing to see here.
About 5 more minutes pass as you continue to walk, and it gets brighter and brighter and brighter, and you walk into what looks like a massive room that's made of bookshelves and books, and the books are all arranged in a cacophony of color and texture along the walls. And as you look around, you note that you have no idea where the light's coming from. But this room is as brightly lit as outside at noonday. And on one end of the room, there is a very large statue of gleaming diamond. And the statue is of a woman. And as he leads you into the room, he walks over to the statue. And he kneels down and he presses his forehead to the floor. And he stays there for a moment. And then he gets up and he walks over to one of the walls and pulls out a stack of books. Eight books, to be precise. And he walks over to you and he holds out the stack of books and he says, "Here is what you need."
Claire will happily take the books and start looking through them.
Same.
All 8 of the books seem to be written by the same individual.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a name Claire recognizes?
Why, yes. Yes, it is.
And
And the name is Orisa.
Right in
Yeah.
one.
that's what I thought. Damn.
And what are the titles on the books?
There are no titles, but the covers of the book are all different colors. You see green and silver and red and purple and gray and gold and almost an off-white. And blue.
Mm-hmm. Okay, in this room with the diamond statue, what are there any fixtures? Is there like a table? Is there floor space? Are we just doing this here?
There is floor space. There is some tables on the far end away from the statue.
Do we get to take the books with us?
Are you asking that?
Yes.
Those books are not to leave the temple of the mother.
So I just
And then-
take copies.
Does the diamond statue seem like it might be a depiction of Vizsla?
Yes. Yes, it does.
No, I didn't even mean to. I was just asking the GM, but cool. Yeah, that works. Give me 1 second.
Jeff, you find yourself at the entrance to what looks like a dark tunnel made of bookshelves and books.
Mm-hmm. I keep walking. I send Rainy up ahead to see if there's anything, you know, waiting. But otherwise, I move forward confidently, having received this vision from Billy.
Okay. As you walk, Rainy comes back, and you, since you're able to talk to Rainy, he tells you that there are some people up ahead that are talking about a fist fight. One of them said he's gone too far this time. He's hit his own people.
Okay. I will move forward and yeah, I'll move forward and continue on.
You eventually reach this group, and there's 10, maybe 12.
Mhm.
And they look up at you. What are you doing here? You don't belong here.
Mentor's
How did-
Square is
How did you find your way here?
I just walked. My understanding is that Mentor's Square is a public library. I am allowed to be here, same as you.
Mentor Square is ours.
Oh, sweet child. Mentor's Square is knowledge, and knowledge is for everyone. And anyone who stands against that particular thesis is part of the problem.
You are in our home. You do not belong.
Well, I'll continue moving on through, and I won't be in your home for very long.
They move to block you.
Okay. Do, 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 do. Um, are there any large objects in the way, like in the area?
Like how large?
Oh, less than a ton.
Well, I mean, the combined weight of the bookcases and the books is probably less than a ton.
Okay. I'm gonna cast Thought Becomes Motion and uh, grab one of the bookshelves and just scoot it like to the side and just kind of like push the people like aside with the bookshelf.
Um, you're gonna need to make a roll for that.
Sure. Let's see. It is a 4 level 4 spell. I get +1 die. Um, okay, so I got a 7 on the regular die and a 4 on the other die, so that is an 11 and an 8 to uh, just kind of shove these people aside as I continue to saunter past.
Okay, you make the bookshelf, shove them aside, all except for one of them,
Mhm.
and that one races off down the hallway where you're headed.
I follow him at a slower pace uh, and continue on, heading toward my friends. I will grab several more bookshelves and pull them into the path behind me
Okay.
to impede the others from following. And that's 2 8s, an 8, a 4, and a 4 on the dice. So,
Okay. You with no resistance, you manage to block off the path behind you, and as you continue walking, you eventually end up in the large room that Billy and Claire are in, and instead of just drawing them and not saying anything, I'm going to actually read the card that I drew. Because whoops. Um, this one is going to be the ambassador. She hails from a far off land carrying a message of unity and civility. The ambassador wishes to talk, not to fight. She knows that words and wisdom offer a path to success that violence never could. Her words are careful and measured, never rash or ill considered. If only there were more such individuals to make the world a better place. The ambassador is the adept of the Visions family. Her magic and skill come from her ability to persuade, which again brings us the idea that words are as magical or as any spell or ritual, just another type of incantation. The offering of a broken blade is an overture for peace. Okay. Billy, Claire, you see a small individual race into the room and say, Sumner! Sumner! They're attacking! You've brought ruin on us all! Who is attacking? Their friend! and the guy with the big nose looks at him for a second, and he looks back at you, Billy and Claire, and he says, "Surely your friend is not foolish enough to attack my
Certainly not.
people."
In fact, he's a pacifist. I've never seen him attack anything. What exactly did he do, buddy?
He attacked us with a bookshelf. Tried to squish us.
Like it dropped it on you from above, or I mean, how,
No, more to the side.
so it kind of like pushed you out of the way. Is what you're getting at here?
Squished. The word you're looking for is squished. It pressed us against the other bookshelf, and
Did anybody actually get hurt? You mean like squished like a bug, or just kind of? Oh, that was tight.
And he turns back to Sumner. They're attacking.
Yeah,
Do something.
there they are. Billy starts reading again.
Claire didn't even look up from her book.
Perfect.
Claire's like, nope, memorizing, because I've still got that potion that my helpful maker, Albion, had made me, so memorizing, and I'm about ready to summon another level 1 demon to start copying books.
Okay.
Because I can. Because I can summon 2 now.
Can. And then Albion walks in.
Claire's gonna
Hello, everybody.
For him.
He's here.
Oh yeah.
And this guy goes around behind Sumner, now that you know his name, and is like hiding behind this guy. And Sumner has the look of utter disgust on his face.
I almost like him now.
Well, hello.
Okay,
It's nice to see you again.
I see you found us.
Yes, I did. I followed along. I did encounter some people. I scooted them to the side, gently, of course, so as to avoid harm. What is this place?
This is where we worship.
Oh, religious fanatics. Of course, it makes sense. It does. It makes sense for you. And, you know, it's a good look on you. That robe and the unpleasantness. What friends are you reading?
Books on the Suns.
He called it the
Oh.
Temple of the Mother. I think they worship Vizsla.
Oh, well, Vizsla is, of course, an individual who did praiseworthy things. Apparently not a god, but not a god? I don't understand. But I am here to do some reading, so if you could just pass me a book, I will do my part.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Claire will hand him a book. And then Claire will step back from the table and summon a pair of level 1, because by now the one she'd summoned upstairs should have dispersed. She will summon 2 level 1s to do copying.
Do you have more to pay them with?
Yes, I do. I am going to offer the two of them because I'm picturing kind of the conjoined twin demon thing going on. Um, I'm going to offer the two of them let me see, what has she got in her bag? 5 crystal orbs each and a chicken.
And a chicken.
Yes, a chicken.
We'll take your chicken, keep your orbs.
Excellent. Your aid is appreciated. I simply need copies of these books made.
Very well.
This is, of course, if Noseman doesn't get all upset and tell me no.
He is not. Um,
I'm going to go at it. This is what I do.
well, and it strikes you as interesting. This is this is a shrine to Visla, and you're summoning a demon into it, and he's not upset.
Well, demons are Vesla children too.
No, no, they're not.
Mm.
Claire, you're such a kind spirit.
Yes, they are.
Oh,
And he smiles, or at least some of them are.
Interesting.
I don't know if that's more encouraging or disturbing. Either way, back to the books.
I like her.
we'll use the rapid read cantrip to just kind of uh, gloss through as many of the books as I can, and when I find information in it as I'm holding it, I will like sort of note that and like hunt down the information and open the book to that part if it seems relevant, and then go to the next book. I'm just gonna kind of I'm gonna
Okay.
start spot check, do like finding the research that might be relevant to what we're looking for, because I mean, I assume when I read something very quickly, it's out of my head in, a couple days time. So I'm not like
Mhm.
expecting this to just like fill my brain with permanent knowledge, but I'm just like going through, just trying to find all of the strategically useful information and opening the books to that part and then go into the next book so that
Okay.
you guys can
This will be
can
interesting.
Okay.
touch on that.
Billy's casting a weave that's going to do the opposite end of the spectrum from what Albie's doing. Together,
All right.
it will make sense. I'm going to weave together sight and subtlety from moonlight to look through the text, and sight to see where in this book is the answer to my question. As a level like 5 thing, you can divine the answer to one question.
All right.
So I think it would probably take about a level 5. But
Go for it.
and I'm sure that's probably only going to work for like one book, but it's a start. And I'll do somewhere we haven't been. Like, let's see. When you're traveling the Path of Suns, you start in the gold. Is that right? Or do you
start
start
in
in
silver.
silver and end in
Silver.
the gold? You start in silver, end in
Yeah.
gold. So it's silver, and then what's next?
Green,
Silver, green, blue,
Yeah.
blue.
indigo.
I'll do green.
Yeah.
I'll do green because until I unlock that secret, it is what it is.
Okay. What do you got?
And I'm using sortilege too, just for funsies. Okay. That is a 4 and a 6. And a 0 on the mundane die.
Okay. So 9 and 11. You take the green book and you cast your weave, and the book opens to a full page image of a massive tree. And on the opposite page, there is a description, and it's called the Tree of the All-Knowing.
Okay.
And you see in this depiction, it doesn't look like really, any tree that you've ever seen. How a lot of deciduous trees, they have, the bushy leaves and all that jazz, and then, coniferous are mostly pines and needles and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
This one looks almost like a fern, except what's hanging down doesn't appear to be leaves or anything. It almost looks like those helicopter seeds.
Okay.
All of them.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. And then is there, from glossing over the text around this image, blah, 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 is this a location in the green? And can I get
Yes.
any information on that any information that might be helpful in getting to that location in the time being, for the time being, until I have my secret?
It is not easy to get to.
Okay.
There is no path to get there. You have to go through forest.
Okay.
Claire, what book are you looking at?
I'm thinking. Which ones did they say we're looking at?
Green.
Billy's looking at the green.
I'll be skimming all of them.
Yeah.
With speed read.
It'd be after green, though.
Probably looking.
It might be a good idea to do all of them, literally, because I just read a few pages. And I'm just saying because there might be other pertinent information that you would get from just like a skim. So I would still include it if you can.
Well, I'll glance at the silver first and see if it involves the pieces of the soul that we've already gotten from the silver.
It does. There's a fair section on the Garden of Eternal Souls.
Okay, and then I'm gonna set that to the side for the demons to copy and swap to the blue.
The blue.
Actually, the red.
Okay, the red.
Death and destruction.
The red, you read through, and the thing that um, catches your eye as you read through is a description of a volcano. And this volcano has a very odd thing that happens constantly. Apparently, if you climb into the cavern of this volcano where the lava is, and it's an active volcano, it's hot. There is a phoenix that flies out from the lava, circles the volcano 8 times, and then flies back to the center of the volcano, bursts into flames, and its ashes fall into the lava. 5 minutes later, or excuse me, 8 minutes later, another phoenix flies out of the lava, and the process repeats itself.
Interesting. Yeah, she'll make a note of that.
It's called the Eternal Flame.
And there was something about fragments of souls related to that? Or is this just a location that she read about randomly?
It's even in the Silver Book, it's not strictly talked about from the perspective of souls, other than the fact that it's the
Right.
Garden Region of Souls.
But she gleaned something from it that seems suggestive.
But yes, something seemed suggestive to her, just like that in the green. I mean, it was what your weave led you to.
Yep.
But it didn't speak anything really of souls per se. Just that's what your weave led you to. Jeff, you're reading through all of them. You actually do not find anything using that particular spell, other than the fact that these have a lot of information about each individual sun and some locations in them.
I I want to be clear. I was not looking directly for the information. I was looking to be of assistance to the other two.
Okay,
Do
how did you envision that working?
Just like going through, and whenever I find information in the books, I jump to those points in the books and sort of flag those points in the books so that they can they can kind of dig into those particular parts of the books. Anywhere that has especially dense information that seems like it might be relevant. It's like,
Okay. By the time you get through all 8 books, you've marked probably 5 or 6 places in each of those books.
okay.
How are my demons doing on the copy?
They're about halfway done, and you guys have been there for 5-6 hours.
Yeah. I mean, the copying is probably the most useful part. We have a couple of places we can start, and if we have copies, we can... I mean, I can just repeat the process over and over again. It just takes a lot of sorcery. Because,
Yeah.
talking about sorcery points is what we Bisley do. Because that's how we feature our magic working. Anyway.
I would say if it's going to be more than just a handful of minutes, if it's going to be more than like half an hour or so, I would probably start tucking into a couple of those books. I just, like I said, I was just trying to find the information for everyone else to like start tapping into.
Yeah,
Like when you find the chapters that are relevant to the research project, etc.
maybe trying to give us an advantage of some kind.
Mhm.
Yeah, and if we have time to kill Billy, we'll dig into Blue.
Okay.
He's the one he's most interested in anyway.
Let's do blue, and then we'll finish on blue because it's 5:55 already.
Yeah.
So
But this time I don't have enough I don't want to resource my pool in case the shit hits the fan later today. So I'm just like reading. I'm just doing
Okay.
research.
so what you can do is you can look at the places that he marked.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Could
And
we
what I'll
use
say is, go ahead.
I was going to suggest I have what is it called? Magical lore, skill level 2. So I was thinking maybe could apply the skill level of my magical lore to whatever searching role that other folks do.
Potentially, I
the
could
book so
see
far.
that.
And I
Not
was
necessarily
hoping
of
to-
knowledge that you have, but of skill you have in obtaining knowledge.
right, which would inform where you dog-eared pages
Right.
or whatever it is you did.
Yeah.
And then I was going to make an argument for hidden knowledge for this one because it's the Blue book, and I am
I'll agree with
literally in the Blue every night when I dream, like researching and seeing things and trying to take note. It's been like an obsession ever since Billy's been in the actuality. So I'm going
I'm
to say
okay
he
with
ran
that.
across something that he thought was innocuous, but maybe something in the book jogs his memory.
Go ahead.
So, and then hidden knowledge is just a +1, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna sortilege again because I feel like it. Oh, okay. I have a 4 and a flux on like the sortilege die. My mundane is a 3.
Okay.
Would that have any plus from my magical lore?
Yes, he
Yeah.
does.
So
And from the hidden knowledge, so it's not as bad as it sounds, except for the flux.
So you find something that interests you, and as you're reading about it, Albion and Claire, you notice that Billy starts to turn blue.
I'm blue,
Yeah, very, very, very Smurf-like.
A staticky Smurf, though. A Smurf on a very old, out of shape, sort of early color television.
No, not like that.
Oh,
like
okay.
you actually turn blue.
Like his whole static thing goes away. Oh,
the whole static thing goes away.
that is
and
weird.
You turn blue. The thing that you notice is that there is a portion of the sea in the blue, and it's kind of a coastal pond, I guess. The way the stone under the blue goes, it forms kind of a pool right on the coast of an island. And in that pool, there are supposedly uncounted small crystal balls. Not like crystal orbs, they're much, much smaller. Along the size of a typical pearl, right?
Okay.
But not white, purely clear. in water.
Okay.
So they're incredibly hard to see. The fact that they're uncounted, though, strikes you as interesting.
Yeah. Does it name this location?
The eyes of creation.
Yep. Sounds about right. Okay.
And that's where we'll stop today. It is 6 o'clock, and as much as I don't want to stop playing because this is getting interesting,
Mm-hmm.
we will adjourn for 2 weeks. Shout outs, things you want to make people aware of. Kelton, you want to start?
Sure. Typical me, Legends of the Old Kingdom starts on Heathen Cantina, on Heathen Cantina's Twitch channel on April 5th. We finally, for real, have a date locked down unless something goes horribly wrong. And it's a good show.
Awesome.
It'll be season 2 and it'll be fun. And thank you all for watching.
You bet. Jeff.
No real shout outs, but I'm looking forward to next session. I want to see where this is going.
All right. What about you?
I got nothing. I mean, our buddies over at Manapot Studios doing Invisible Sunday next Sunday, but other than that, no, I'm fried.
Work's been interesting. What I will do is I will say, it's nice having everybody watch us, on the stream, and Twitch is great and all. But if you want to meet Angels Citadel in person, you're going to get a chance to do that in April on the 21st to the 23rd. Angels Citadel is going to Glen Allen, Virginia, and we're going to be at RavenCon. I will be running a introduction to Numenera, and Joanne is going to run an introduction to Cyberpunk Red. And we'll probably hang out and play a LARP there too. There's a superhero LARP by a friend of ours that is going to be running all weekend too. So if you're in the area and you want to come hang out, meet us. We're not all that weird, I promise. Okay, maybe I am, but Joanne's nice. And maybe learn Numenera or a new role-playing game. So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll be back in 2 weeks for another Invisible Sunday. And outside of that, I think that's it. So from our Citadel to yours, happy gaming.
Happy gaming.